welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you out to the shed of many names on this starting to get cold, rainy evening. Hopefully I can get this video made for Red. This video goes out to Red because she asked me a long time ago to make a old-fashioned video that a lot of people don't know how to do anymore, and that's hand measure. Now hopefully I can get this video made in between the storms, so if you start hearing a lot of popping noise, that's rain on the roof of the shed, because Lordy, that's why I look rough, because I got caught in one of the downpours a while ago, and well, I'm dried out a little bit, but not much. So hand measuring dates way to our way back ancestors, because not everybody could back in the day afford measuring things like these. These are new made. They didn't come into play until earlier on. Now, hand measuring is fun. Now, I do not hand measure flour or cornmeal, any kind of baking, because I can eye it, but I prefer to measure it out in a good old standard measuring cup. But when it comes to seasonings, you'll hear a sprinkle here, a pinch of that, a spoonful of this, a spoonful of that. Well, you need to know the different terminology. Now, I know in the South, there are still a lot of us women who still hand measure, because our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers taught us how, because they wanted to pass it along. Now, speaking from not having any experience of being up north, I do not know if it's used as much up north as it used to be back in the day. Everybody hand measured pretty much, because most people couldn't afford measuring cups, measuring spoons, and a lot of times they hadn't been designed just yet. It's simple to hand measure. All you have to do is practice. Practice makes perfect, or as close to perfect. Now, I'm going to turn the camera down, and let's get started on this video, because I know Red's been itching for this one. Now, this is salt. We're going to practice with salt. Dried ingredients, this is parsley. Your dried leaves can throw you off a lot, unless you practice. Pour this out. Sorry, y'all. That's a squirrel going up into the birdhouse again. I don't know how many times I done chased that squirrel. That's okay. It's going to end up going in the pot. But that's a different video. Okay, now, hand measuring. You'll hear a pinch. Now, it depends on what the seasoning is, salt, pepper, whatever. A pinch can be what you can pick up with 2 fingers, and if it's a seasoning you want to use more of, you will use your 2 fingers and your thumb and get a good old pinch, and then you'll just sprinkle it in. It depends on the recipe, depends on the person, depends on your personal preference. Now, a lot of recipes call for a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, so on. I just eyeball it. I know more of the exact measurements of teaspoons and tablespoons than I do the other ones. I mean, I know how to measure out 1/4, 1/2 teaspoon, stuff like that. Practice, people. Get you some salt, and preferably not on a rainy day so it doesn't soak up the moisture. Okay. We're going to load up our hand with the salt. And you want to use that little curve right there in your hand. Now don't worry if it's give or take a little bit, everything will be fine. Yep, I'm a little light. Let's try that again. See, not everybody's perfect. I gotta pay more attention to what I'm doing. Now that, alright, when you cup your hand like that, you'll have a natural bowl right there. And that should be a teaspoon there. Now, of course, unfortunately, some will stick on your hand, but there you go. There's your teaspoon. Moisture in the air doesn't help either. Now, for a tablespoon, I'm going to pour it out a little bit more. And I can tell that's a little too much. And see, like I'm saying, because of the moisture, it's going to clump. And that should measure out right there. And there you have a tablespoon of salt. And if you weigh salt, throw a pinch over your left shoulder to keep bad luck away. Okay, that's salt. Now, with parsley or any dried herb, it's a little harder because it floofs up some, but doing a pinch can be one finger, the two fingers together, and then you're going to sprinkle it, because dried herbs you want to roll around in your finger to release what essential oils are left. And the two finger here and the thumb pinch can be a big pinch, can be a small pinch. It all depends on what you're cooking and your preference for using that seasoning. And when practicing, make sure your counter's clean, that way you can scoop up any messes. And do not worry about messes, you're learning. Everybody starts out from the beginning at some time. Okay, now, it's going to take sometimes a little more practice doing the dried ingredients. But when you see the little mound in the palm of your hand, you'll cup it. And that should be a teaspoon. And when you push it down, see, you have an exact teaspoon. Try not to waste any of my parsley, because I'm partial to my parsley. Okay, now a tablespoon, you're going to want to go around that whole edge of, see the natural cup in your hand? And if you're right-handed, you always measure in your left hand. Now if you're left-handed, you always measure in your right hand. Okay, now we're going to go for a tablespoon. That should be just about a tablespoon right there. If you notice, it fills the whole indentation of your palm, and it goes out just a little bit. And see? an exact tablespoon. Now, of course, when you're hand measuring and you're measuring over the pot, you always wipe your hand off on top of your pot, over your pot, so that the seasoning that does stick to your hand goes straight into the pot. Now, don't get discouraged at yourself. It takes a little while to learn it. But keep doing it. Don't give up. Do not give up. Now, for like bigger amounts of dried herb, we're going to take this measuring cup. It's not the best measuring cup because it's a 2-cup measure cup. Alright, that's 1/4 of a cup. See what I'm saying? There's no need in trying to measure it in your hand because you don't have enough room. And that's when I more eyeball it than anything. Because your hand, unless you have a really big hand, I wouldn't try it. But if you want to, now what I do, I'm going to get that. I'll finish that when the video's over. Because that'll bug the daylights out of me thinking I'm wasting parsley. Now, if you want to practice, here, let me move the camera. Practice on like a saucer or a small bowl. Doing your 1/4 cup, your 1/3, your 1/2, your 2/3, 3/4, your cup measure. Get you a little bowl. Take your measuring cup. Measure out 1/4 cup. Now don't just flip it in the bowl. Lightly try to pour it in and let it mound up on itself. Watch in that bowl how much it spreads and how much it mounds. Once you get the hang of that, you got that one. Move up to the next one. Get the hang of that one. Move up to the next one. Get the hang of that, and just keep going. And then that way you can do, because once you start doing a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, and so on, you can't really measure it in your hands correctly. And with baking, a lot of times the recipes, you have to be precise on the amount of flour, cornmeal, and so that you use. And you don't want to mess nothing up. Simple, easy, anybody can do this. Start out with you a set of spoons. Measuring spoons. Work yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself because there's no reason to be hard on yourself. Teach yourself. We are all students and we are all teachers. Be the student and the teacher at the same time. Take your time. Learn it. Because it'll help you in the end. Excuse me. It'll help you in the end. Excuse me a minute. Like if you're trying to bug out or anything like that, or if you're out in the field or anything and you want to make some bread or some cornmeal or anything like that, you can look at things and know exactly how much ingredients to put in there. Simple, easy. Now, like I said, with the pinch technique, you have to figure out what is the right amount of pinch for you. That's just like cayenne powder or something really spicy. You're going to want to do just the 2-finger little pinch if you're not into really spicy. Or if you like really spicy, do the 2 front fingers and the thumb. And see, a pinch can be pretty good. Now let me do that again because some of that came out. Now don't get discouraged. You can't pinch everything. Sand and salt will flow through your finger. Let's see. This looks about like 1/4 teaspoon. It's close to a quarter of a teaspoon. If you've done 2 good pinches, that would be a quarter of a teaspoon. Simple, easy. Yes, you can do the old-fashioned hand measuring. Also, now, there's another one I forgot to talk about. A sprinkle of this, a sprinkle of that. This is where you have to pay attention to how you like your food seasoned. Excuse me, I cut the heat on. It's starting to get warm in here. Now, a sprinkle can be just a little quick, fast sprinkle. Let me get, no, I'll just show you. There are stages of sprinkle. A little quick, where not a whole lot comes out. A little bit heavier. And then there's the really hard sprinkle. If you watch my cooking videos, you see me do all 3. And then you might sprinkle and go, oh well, I want some more in there. And you just sprinkle again. It becomes your recipe as long as you remember in the end how long did you sprinkle the container and how much you pay attention to how much comes out. It's simple and easy, everyone. Don't be hard on yourself. Keep practicing. Keep practicing. And it's a wonderful art form because you don't have to keep listening to these clanging things all around you. And you can mesmerize the daylights out of your family, friends, and so on when you learn how to hand measure. Simple, easy, and I believe in you, and all you have to do is believe in yourself. You can do this. Red, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, definitely leave them in the comment section. That goes for everybody else as well. I'm more than happy to help teach the old ways. And y'all are all my little owls. Old ways learners. I love that title, and I think I'm going to definitely do a t-shirt on that one. All my little owls. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it informative and that it helps you to embrace more of what your ancestors done. They weren't ashamed of themselves, and it was bragging rights when you could hand measure. You didn't need stuff that, wasn't really around to begin with. If anybody was blessed to be around their grandma, you didn't really see grandma measure much of anything out. And she was a good old country grandma. She would just get her bowl out, look at it, pour this much in, pour that much in, so a scoop of this, a scoop of that, and yeah, it was on. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Like I said, if you have questions, definitely ask them in the comment section. I'm more than happy to help out as much as I can. Everyone, take care. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and may you each be blessed. I'll see you soon.